and it's such a pleasure and an honor for me to be invited to talk in front of such an august gathering. I have heard of the Doraji Youth Services Foundation, but until Amin Saab explained it to me and its impact and its footprint, I was overwhelmed and very touched. How a community, its values and its passion to help others can come together to make such an amazing impact. Now we are gathered here to celebrate and reward students for their exceptional academic excellence. So I would like to touch a little bit upon how I see education. See, education is the cornerstone of any community or any society. The biggest impact education has is that it teaches you critical thinking. It opens new avenues of discovery and innovation. It fills your mind with opportunities, ideas, and choices. Now let me share the journey. It starts with education, then it goes toward knowledge, and then it ends up in wisdom. So this journey has to be completed. Education by itself will not be very useful to you. So education is what you learn from school or college or an institution or a book. These things can be taught outside. Knowledge is the things you absorb from what they teach in these institutions and books. So this is what you take away, okay? You can also acquire knowledge from practical experience in life. However, wisdom is most essential. Wisdom is your ability to assimilate and incorporate the knowledgeable things you were taught at some point in your life. Wisdom comes from suffering. Wisdom is knowing what to say, when to say it, and when not to say it. Wisdom is in apathy. Wisdom is in sympathy. Wisdom comes with maturity. A wise man is far superior than a knowledgeable or an educated man. You know, आपने सुना होगा पढ़ा लिखा जाहिल. That is exactly what I mean. He may be educated, but he doesn't have the wisdom to spend time. So many of you are at the cusp of your life. I know you are watching through YouTube and Facebook. You have received quality education and gained a lot of knowledge. How will you now convert all of this into wisdom, which will drive how you will live the rest of your life? I'm sure one of the questions that's coming to you is like, how do I gain wisdom? Okay, I have two suggestions of gaining wisdom after your education. One is, gain experience, and the number two is putting wisdom into practice. And how do you do that? I'll give you some quick examples. See, gaining experience, you don't get it by reading books and attending classes. Experience nahi aata, knowledge aa jati hai. Try new things. Walk out of your comfort zone. As long as you're in your comfort zone, you will not learn wisdom. ठीक है ना? You have to do things differently. You can't stay indoors and think, and you have to, you need to travel. You need to go places. You need to meet different people. You have to do different things. Go to an orphanage. Go and attend, a seminar or learn a language. Pick up a hobby. Learning to dance or playing a musical instrument. Joining aero modeling class. I mean, do something different, because एक तो आपकी learning आएगी. Second is when you end up in that area, you will meet different people you've not met before, and you will learn from them. If you are afraid of public speaking, volunteer to give a presentation. You have to, conquer your fears. If you don't conquer your fears, you will grow up into, a person which is will not have so much knowledge. Now, how do you put wisdom into practice? Be humble in new situations. Overconfidence never helps. Only comment as long as you are truly knowledgeable about that fact. But do ask questions if you don't understand. Think before acting. Take time out to deliberate and use your knowledge before you make a decision. Act on values. This is very important. Your values should be aligned with your conscience. Values is not something on a piece of paper. Values are not just words. Values are what you live by. They're about the causes that we champion and the people we fight for. Do the right thing. Learn from mistakes. This is actually a very important one, because mistakes teach you more about what you have gained through your knowledge in other things than anything else will teach you. Share your wisdom with others. To me, this is vital. Many people gain a lot of wisdom in their life but never share it. I know a lot of my friends who are amazingly experienced, but that's it. Their wisdom is with them. So what a loss. The best way to share is to put down your wisdom, knowledge and experience in a form of a book. Because then it will last forever. And generation after generation can read about your experiences and how you have learned it. I have done exactly that. Like they mentioned to you, I have put my 30 years of knowledge of working in Procter & Gamble and Gillette into a book. This has been published. It's called It's Business, It's Personal. It's all about me. It's all about how I handle this situation, how did I manage challenges, how I'm, everything from setting values to delivering it through organizational excellence. Now, the best way to show wisdom is to demonstrate passionate leadership. And leadership is a subject which is very close to my heart, and I want to just give you a little bit more. You see, I've seen the role a good and passionate leadership plays and the impact it has on people. I mean, we can look at Pakistan. We are missing leaders, true leaders. Here I'm talking about leaders who have a lot of wisdom and use them to make decisions. Let me share the best example I have seen in my 35 years of experience of the difference between a leader and an ordinary person. And the way this, he was my plant manager in Saudi Arabia, he explained the following. He says, imagine this is reality. Okay, this is where we are today. And this is, you're setting a vision. You want the reality to improve. It could be high. Let's take an example of our commerce minister. And exports are at 20 billion. He wants it to be 70 billion. Okay, so this is the vision. Now imagine there's an elastic between reality and your vision. So the higher the vision, the higher the tension in the elastic. Lower the vision. And what does tension do to you as a human being? You don't like tension. You don't like to live with tension. So you want to reduce tension. Okay, so imagine this is 70 billion. And because you can't handle tension as a human being, because you will not be able to sleep at night, oh my God, this is, I've got to do this. So people try to reduce tension. There are two ways of reducing tension. If you're a normal person, you will reduce the vision. यार 50 कर देते हैं, थोड़ी tension कम हो गई, या 30 कर देते हैं. Oh, I can live with that. But what is a leader who believes in his vision? He brings reality up to reduce tension. He reduces tension until the reality, but he never compromises. I mean, people like Mandela, 26 साल तक he did not compromise. Qaid-e-Azam को देख लें, कितना pressure आया. He said, no, I will not walk away. I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are doing this. So this is an example which I think if you can just imagine. So once you set a vision, and if you're a true leader and passionate about the vision, do not give it up. Okay, some insight and lessons that I have learned in life. Thank you. There are two lessons that I've learned in life. Well, many lessons, but two I would like to share with you. Lesson number one, do not accept anything that you think is not right or against your values. Don't ignore it just because it is not hurting you. If it is wrong, it is wrong. I will explain things. I'll explain this using a metaphor called the boiling frog syndrome. I don't know how many of you know this syndrome. It's a well-known anecdote to help understand the negative impact of change. Imagine if you take a frog and you put it into hot water, like boiling water, it will jump away. But if you put it into cold water, it will go and sit down in the water and you start warming the water slowly. So the change is so slight that he does not realize it. By the time it's boiling, it's too late for him to escape and he's like a boiled frog. So now take the example of Karachi. When in the 80s or early 90s, we heard about kidnapping, robberies, theft, bhatta happening in areas such as Urangi town, Katti Pahadi, North Karachi, or Baldia town. We were living in KDA, Defense, Clifton, and read the news and did nothing because it was not affecting us. It was not affecting my family. It was not affecting my friends. Today, our neighbors are being kidnapped. My mother got robbed, a year back. I mean, as this issue was not snubbed in its infancy when it started, it continued to spread. The water started boiling, and we in Karachi are all boiled frogs. Because we did not act at the time, now it's too late. So you cannot take anything laying down. If something is wrong, you have to fix it right there and then. We must never accept status quo if the status quo is not correct or according to societal laws. Always remember that what goes around comes around. If you see something wrong, even if it is not hurting you or your family, make an effort to fix it. Don't ignore it. Tomorrow it can happen to you. I have taken this to heart. If you look at my footprint, I have helped found 3 organizations, basically to make sure that we can make the difference in our society. I'm chairman and founder of Pakistan Innovation Foundation. Now it's 7th year of us. I'm Karachi, I'm the current president and one of the founding members. This is our 6th year. Southeast Asia Leadership Academy is in its 8th year. I was the ex-chairman and I'm the board member. And I'm also chairman of Public Interest Law Association. And what does that do? It protects the fundamental rights of the citizen of Pakistan. I also worked in Jinnah Hospital to help the poor get medical care. I am also on the board of Eco Energy, which provides solar solution in villages in Sindh where there is no electricity. The reason I'm telling you all this is you get the idea. You need to get involved. You need to walk out of your comfort zone. You need to make a difference somewhere. I mean, you have the knowledge, you may have wisdom. Unless you use it, you will not be able to benefit from it. So the second lesson is a little philosophical. So just hang in with me. It's purpose in life. And I don't know how many of you think of it. Why was I born? What is my purpose in life? Everything is done for a reason. Nothing happens just for the sake of happening. I had different purposes. Now, purpose in life varies. If you're 10 years old or 15 years old or 50 years old, it can vary. And I'll give you a short example. When I was 4 or 5 years old, my purpose in life was to climb a tree because I could not climb a tree. All the big boys were climbing trees, so then I went to school. It was to get the best grade. That was my purpose in life. Everything was about, my parents were making sure I was getting good grades. Then when I got into college, I had to get, obviously, FSC I had to get a good grade, otherwise engineering mein nahi milta. So I came second in the board, so that purpose was completed. Now I was in engineering. I wanted to, I ended up doing 2 engineerings, and then I wanted to go to a best business school because I felt that I needed to get an MBA. So I went to University of Michigan, and then I wanted to get into the best company. So the purpose of life continued to change. When I joined Procter & Gamble, it was again, I wanted to be more successful. I wanted to reach the top of that company. So again, as they mentioned, that I became CEO. Now the interesting part is, once I was CEO for 7 years, I became more and more involved in touching lives outside the company, which led me to take early retirement at the age of 56. And now when someone asks me what I'm doing these days, I say, मैं अपने शौक पूरे कर रहा हूँ. And literally, I'm living my life's purpose. Because शौक क्या है? To make a difference, make this society better. And everything that I do in innovation or education is all about helping others. That's why I wrote the book as well, that I felt that I've gained so much knowledge in my 30 years in Procter & Gamble, I wanted to share it with other people. Now, the ultimate purpose is the ultimate reason why we are doing what we are doing today. The ultimate purpose of being a human being is to survive and grow. This concept of survive and grow applies to you as a person, as a part of a family, as part of a team, department, company, or a country. The ultimate question that you must answer is, are you alive and surviving? And if you are growing. If you are surviving and not growing, then you are stuck. Okay? If you are alive and growing, then enjoy it because you are displaying leadership. This is because your leadership that you are continuing to grow. Okay? Now, however, if you are alive but not growing, you are stuck. This is where leadership comes into use. Leadership is just a process. It is an opportunity for intervention to help yourself and others to grow. If you are stuck in life, you are losing time and opportunity. Wake up. Like Shah Jahan ne bhi kaha tha, do something. Just because COVID aaya hai, I'm stuck in my home, does not mean that this should stop you from doing that. The next question that I would like to ask you, and that comes to mind, is that whether you or the people around you are living a dignified life. When you see poverty, starvation, drugs, depression, protests, suicides, a question must come to your mind as to what your role as part of humanity is, or as part of society. This thought process brought me to an insight which has driven my life. And I feel that an ideal purpose which I have found out, and I would like to quote unquote, the purpose is put your uniqueness to bring happiness and joy in the life of others. Let me repeat it. And I'm sure many of you are doing that. You don't know it. But this is, in fact, put your uniqueness to bring happiness and joy in the life of others. We are all unique. There is no two people are the same. Our DNAs are very different. And I'll now quote you some example from our Prophet and many other people who talked exactly about this purpose in life. This is a hadith from Imam al-Tabrani, which says, "The best among you are those who bring greatest benefit to many others." Rumi said, "Let the beauty you love be what you do." Albert Einstein said, "Only a life lived for others is life worthwhile." Nietzsche said, "To forget one's purpose is the commonest form of stupidity." And Mark Twain ने एक बड़ी interesting बात कही थी. The 2 most important days in your life is the day you were born and the day you realized why you were born. So all religion, all philosophers, all prophets talk the same, but we are not born in this world to be successful and create wealth for ourselves and our family. Unless you touch your neighbors, your community, your society and humanity, you will never find true happiness. Now enough talk about my purpose and values, I strongly feel that Doraji Youth Services Foundation is a role model, is a role model living that amazing life's purpose, touching lives and living the values as enshrined in Quran. You touch lives in many ways. I've learned this, providing financial support, providing career guidance at the Shaheen Forum, where young volunteers manage events like today's and others to fine-tune their management and leadership skill. It's not just about money, but there is a comprehensive scholarship program, as Amin Saab was explaining, which covers tracking of students' results, guiding children to switch to better schools, career guidance, training through Shaheen. Over 1,200 students enrolled in the program currently. I mean, this is mind-boggling. A community has been able to make such a difference. Over 50 million is raised in support of their scholarships. That's 5 crore. 314 students have completed higher studies under the program. 330 are currently enrolled. This program was developed and fine-tuned over 20 years, as they told me. You have shared it with other organizations, because I think it's a winning model. It's wonderful to share it with other people if they can emulate it. I have learned that late Ashraf Usman Saab, our immediate past president, who died last year, had developed this program over many years. It was his untiring efforts. He and Shaheen team developed by him personally met all 1,200 scholarship program students every year. They interview them, track their performance and guide them. In today's ceremony, I think we have 247 recipients and about 12 gold medalists. So at the end, I just like to say the following. This is one of the finest community efforts I have seen. It gives me immense pleasure and confidence on what a community can do to bring positive change if it has the right people, the right values, and an unending drive to use your uniqueness to bring happiness and joy in the life of others. Thank you so much.